think just, understanding the risk reward, the plays that he's making, and obviously we've seen his turnover numbers come down, but he's still getting guys involved. So I think just reading the game at speed and making his teammates better, and I think that's been extremely important for us over these this last stretch.
Has he been more vocal on the court recently, specifically with telling guys when to cut, or have you seen anything different recently?
Yeah, I think it's we keep talking about everybody's opportunity to lead and organize, and as the point guard, like that's his responsibility. And he sees the game in an elite way, and he sees it from all positions on the floor. So you'll see him having more conversations and talking to guys, but what he's doing without words is just keeping the offense moving. He does a great job of just finding the next play, finding the next man, so that our offense doesn't stall.
And he had 4 steals the other night, 3 against Detroit. How aggressive do you want him being defensively?
It's a matter of him being in the right spots, and I think that's what he does a great job of understanding. The way our defense is built, he knows where the outlets are. So he knows where he can cheat to get the spots where now if guys are in, those spots, he knows the outlet. Now he can make a run on those plays without sacrificing the integrity of our defense and being a gambler, So he's really, really figured that out. And, it takes time in him studying his opponent and understanding, where his opponents are going to be before they're there. And then he can put himself in position to be aggressive.
Chris.
Hey, JB.
What's up, Chris?
Is it the same with Donovan? Because both those guys are near the top of the NBA in steals.
Yeah, and I think, obviously having our 2 big guys, right, and having their rules, and then our smalls knowing their responsibility on the backside of the action puts them in position to be extremely aggressive. Both of them are intelligent, have great hands. But I think it's, it's part of their ability to see the game before it happens that puts them in those positions to make those plays.
I know Evan is out again tonight. What's the latest there?
He's just continued to work through it, and we'll take it day by day.
And then you guys tonight, it's the first game of a back-to-back, first of 3 and 4. It's a tight schedule. Are you planning any minute management tonight going into this stretch or anything like that?
At this point, no. We're going to go with what we've typically been doing. And we're going to go compete to win.
Coach, you matched up pretty well with the Miami Heat last game without Evan Mobley, but they run 4 guys that are 6'7" or under. What challenges will this Orlando Magic team with their size present to you guys tonight without Evan?
It's obviously the size, but it's the aggressiveness and physicality that they play with, and the game that they're trying to win. Right, they're extremely aggressive at trying to get to the paint, and that's normally where size has the advantage is in the paint. So. It's got to be everybody out there for us accepting those challenges. It's not just one-on-one challenges, but it's team challenges as well. 5 guys have to do the job of protecting the paint, protecting one another, and try to make it a perimeter game where hopefully we can use speed and quickness to our advantage.
Yes, sir.
These are both 2 of the best defensive teams in the league right now, and they both do a very good job forcing turnovers. How you mentioned the steals earlier. How has it changed maybe in the last 5-6 years where going for steals, trying to create that disruption has been a staple of defenses when maybe that was looked down upon 6-7 years ago?
Yeah, I think it's a matter of how you create those steals. I think there was a while where people thought that you had to be a gambler to come up with steals, and when you gambled to come up with steals, then you put your team at a disadvantage because now they're playing 5-on-4 or 4-on-3 or whatever it may be. Whereas now, it comes down to teams that protect the paint, trying to create deflections and then allowing those deflections to turn into turnovers, but not sacrificing the integrity of your defense, like I mentioned, where you're staying between your man and the basket still. The old school thing was you were running passing lanes, and again, if you didn't get it, you were at half court and they're playing, advantage basketball. Whereas now, you just try to put yourself in a position between your man and the basket, and try to get a deflection or a steal that way.
Back row, Tim.
JB, you've won 4 in a row on the road, 7 and 3 overall, one of the best in the NBA. What's the key to road success?
Togetherness. You know, I think that's it. If your group is a fractured group and a group that can't handle adversity, you're going to struggle on the road. So, you know, fortunate for us, like our guys are tight and they're together and they appreciate, you know, being in adverse environments. You have to have guys who are courageous, right? You have to have guys that are willing to just lay it on the line, no matter the boos, the cheers, you know, whatever it may be. And I think, again, that's what our guys are. Like, they play with no fear, and they love, you know, being in an adverse environment where, you know, they may get booed, they may get yelled at. You know, it doesn't put any fear in our guys' hearts.
X and O wise, is there one aspect of the game that stands out or has a little more importance on the road?
I mean, obviously the turnover battle is key. You don't want to give teams momentum plays. Tonight, for an example, like you turn it over, they're elite in getting out in transition and making you pay, right? And those baskets are the type of baskets that get their crowd involved. Your shot selection is important also. You know, if you're jacking early threes and giving up long rebounds and now they're busting out in transition, you know, that creates those opportunities as well. So from an X and O standpoint, I think that's it. But again, I think at the end of the day, you can X and O people to death. But if you don't have, you know, the togetherness and the courage to handle adversity, you're still going to have a hard time.
Chris?
JB, before the year, you talked about the offense becoming more dynamic, and we've talked a lot about the offense in the first quarter of this season, the how and the why. Do you see the offense as being more dynamic this year, and if so, where?
I think it is. You know, it's more difficult to anticipate where the shot is coming from. It's more difficult to just keep all eyes on the ball and bodies on the ball. You know, again, you go back, and for us as coaches, you know, we use the data and we look at it, and, you know, we've created a high-level quality of shot. You know, I think lately we've seen them start to go a little bit more, and so our offensive numbers obviously are increasing. But, you know, again, it's knowing where your shots are going to come from, and then, you know, making the play because you know where your teammate is going to be. So I think we are more difficult to guard, and I think we're only going to get better.
Anything else in the room?
Coach.
Last one.
Rookie Anthony Black, he started 16 games for Orlando this year. He had 11 points against you guys last week. What has stood out to you of his play and ability he's been able to step up in his role so far?
He just seems really composed. And obviously you guys get to see him more and around him more. But, you know, for young players, it's difficult when you ride the emotional wave. And from what I've seen of him, he doesn't seem to get too high or get too low. He just goes out and, you know, plays within himself. And that's another thing with young guys, like when you're trying to prove it, when you want to make it, when you want to be somebody, you know, you go out and sometimes you step out of bounds. And when I watch him, it doesn't seem to be that way. He just seems to fit in, to be who he is, and try to help his team win.
Okay, come right for Coach. Thanks,
Thank y'all.